What is going on, everybody? Today we're looking at the Mattel Masters of the Universe Masterverse New Eternia figures. So we have 4 new Eternia figures. So we have our 2 good guys of ManAtArms and Mekaneck. So both of these look cool. Of course, we have our new packaging where they have just a little bit of a window, so you don't have all packaging plastic like we have in the past. So just a little window there to see our figures. So we have our characters in the new Eternia design, which in the past, we had characters that came with some like innovative designs, but you could sort of strip them down to get basic characters, where it seems like with these they're pretty much basic and pretty much their original versions already from the start just have like maybe an extra new weapon feature or something, but other than that they're pretty simple already. But yeah, we can kind of see it there with our ManAtArms and Mekaneck. And then for our bad guys we have Trapclaw and Tri-Klops. Again, both of these look almost just like they do, not really anything different with them, so I like this because we don't need all that extra stuff like we used to get. But it's kind of weird that they've switched from having all that new like upgraded stuff to just making them simpler and look like their original designs, but at least they all look cool. That's all I can say about that. So cool there for Trapjaw, TriKlops, as well as our ManAtArms and Mekaneck. So I'm excited to check these out. So let me get them out of the box and we'll take a look at them together. And let's start off with ManAtArms, who's the master of weapons, serving King Randor and leading the Royal Guard. And overall, he looks cool here. As I mentioned, with these designs, they pretty much look like classic already. I've noticed, like, especially like in the weapons, they've kind of upgraded some stuff or added additional things, but everything else about him looks relatively plain and exactly the same. So nothing new or really different going on here, but it does look like ManAtArms. So we have the face of Duncan where he's got his mustache, so that looks pretty cool. And overall face looks pretty decent with a helmet on. So he does come with a different helmet design that I feel is more classic, so we can switch those out. But this one just seems like a much like flatter, like actual like real world helmet design for him. But it's cool, but still has all like the technology sort of built in. And then we have his green bodysuit everywhere else, so it even comes down his head. So if we take the helmet off, you'll see it, and it comes all the way down to his hands as well as down his legs. So green underneath with the orange armor up top. So he's got the orange chest plate. I love how it's got like tank and stuff, probably for breathing, and a guard there to protect his neck, all the way to the back where there's a grip to hold on to his weapon, and the orange armor going down his arm as well. So on his left arm, love how it's got the 2 swords there crossing, but it goes all the way down his arm, and then even down to his left leg he does have the armor there as well. And then just the normal like He-Man sort of skirting piece, so like the leather skirting with the belt with the red jewel, and then a brown boot on his other foot there. So overall looks pretty cool. Like I said, just does look like ManAtArms, just for this specifically made for the Masterverse version. But we'll do his movement, so his head can twist all the way around. A little bit stuck there, we twist around. Can look down that far and up that far, so a little bit back and forth. Not the best movements. The shoulders do come up to 90 and rotate all the way around. We get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint, which on a lot of these, the joints are pretty stiff, but can bend up that far, which isn't bad. And the wrist will twist around, and this one has the hinge up and down. Then we go to the ab crunch, so he does have an upper ab crunch right under the armor here, so he can crunch back and forth and twist all the way around. And then at the waist can twist all the way around. Then we go down to the legs that can come up to 90 and out to the side, pretty much do the splits, and there are like drop down hips, so you push them back up in there with a thigh twist that twists all the way around. The double knee joint that can bend up that far to the back, which isn't too bad at all. There's a shin twist down inside the boot, and then we get the foot that flexes back and forth and twists side to side. So pretty decent movements, and we'll see that with all the figures. They're all going to be pretty much exactly the same. Like I said, just sometimes the joints are pretty stiff. On him, thankfully, they weren't too bad at all. But he does come with a number of accessories, so we do get an additional head. So we get a head that doesn't have the mustache, so you can have that alternate design. And with this, the helmets, as I mentioned, do come off. They are a little bit hard to get off. You just have to just sort of grab it and pull it off. So we can switch out the heads there. Of course, out of the 2, I always prefer the one with the mustache, because that's what I always picture Duncan looking like. So we'll stick with the mustache. But as I mentioned, we get the different helmets. So this was the helmet that was on him, but we get this helmet as well that to me looks much more like the classic ManAtArms helmet. So let's go and put this one on. So we'll have the head with the mustache as well as the classic helmet. And with that, he does look much more classic there, so I definitely want to have that head on him. He comes with some additional hands, so we get a set of fist hands to go along with his grips, again in the green color. And for those, we can give him his weapon of his mace, or whatever you want to call it. So we have his orange color mace. That's like a metallic orange on this, but I think it looks pretty cool. So of course we have the handle going up to the end where it's got the club design on. Looks pretty cool with all the studs. So as I mentioned, he does have the place on his back, so obviously we can put it like this. I think it goes upside down down like this, maybe stored like this on his back. So there it is on his back. It goes on up here at the handle. I felt it'd be better on here because then it'd give him much more room to access it, but it's really hard to get on. I couldn't get it down there, but was able to there. But we can go ahead and just try and put this into his hand. And there ManAtArms has his mace, and then we do get an attachment for the mace, so we can take the top off and put this on as well, so the ball like sort of comes out and has a chain, so it kind of becomes like a flail where the ball on the chain. So that's cool. So we can pop this off the end, and the way they designed it, it is pretty difficult to get this piece off. So it's right there where that split is, and it comes off and can switch out there. So there he has that as well, which I've never seen before. Like, I know that's probably a thing his weapon does, but I've just never seen that. So to me, you know, that's like part of the new Eternia thing. So we can use that now to sort of fling that ball. I think I like the normal one much better, but it is cool that it gives you that additional option of the weapon. So we get the heads that we can switch out and change different designs, and as well as the weapon to give us sort of that new little design. But either way, I think it looks really cool. Like I said, I like this. You know, as I mentioned with the last new Eternia figures, they would have all sorts, like for this instance, have all sorts of new additional armor. You know, the heads would probably be like it was switched out with a different weapon, but then you could strip that all down and just have it basic with just the chest, arm, and leg, and there'd probably be, you know, armor on these other pieces as well, and you would just take those off to get this classic design. But instead they just sort of made it classic looking and gave you small little options that you can do to make it a little bit different from that classic. But here he just looks pretty classic just the way he is, so it's really cool to add this version of ManAtArms to our collection. And next up we have Mekaneck, which is the human periscope with the ability to stretch his bionic neck to great heights and see over far distances with his special visor. So he looks pretty cool here. Looks, you know, just pretty much like Mekaneck, just maybe more newer design with some of the blue being more metallic, and even like his belt's metallic. So he's got a lot of metallic colors on him here, but it looks pretty cool with his awesome like red helmet design that's got the point up to it. So that all looks pretty cool. And he's got the nice visor or eye pieces, whatever you want to call it. And I love how it's got like the chrome paint, so it's reflective, so you can kind of see yourself in it. But then the rest of his face there, and then he has the chest plate that kind of reminds me of Duncan, just with the piece that comes up in front of his face. But it looks pretty cool there with the red and silver colors. Love the contraption design there on the front, and that all just looks pretty cool going around there to the back. As I said, underneath he's got this all blue color, so all the way from his neck down to his legs he's got this metallic blue design, which looks pretty cool. Then he has the fur loincloth with a green belt there and metallic colors, even some lighter metallic blue for the bands around his wrist. And then that blue continues down to he's got the gray furry boots there, like the other MOTU characters sort of have the furry boots. So overall looks pretty decent design wise for him. But for movements, we get that'll twist all the way around. Can look down that far and up that far. So a little bit better movements with him than Duncan had. Then the shoulders come up to 90, rotate all the way around, get that bicep twist and the double elbow joint that can bend up that far, pretty much all the way up on himself. So definitely some of the best movements with the wrist that'll twist all the way around and hinge back and forth. Then we go to the ab crunch. Again, should be like Duncan's, but of course with this chest plate, it's hard to tell. But he can crunch back and forth and twist around, but it's hard to get the twist separated. So he's mostly just twisting at the waist here. But then we go down to the hips that come up to 90, out to the side, can do the splits, thigh twist all the way around. The double knee joint, that's going to be real stiff on him, can at least bend up that far to the back, which isn't too bad. Then we get the shin twist at the top of the boot, and then the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So pretty much the same movements again, just a lot more stiffness in his body compared to the others. And then he had much better range in the elbows. I'm not sure exactly why that is, if he has a different elbow joint design, but his was pretty much able to bend all the way up on itself. But for accessories, we get some additional hands. So again, a set of fist hand to go along with the grips. Then we get some neck extension pieces for his head. So we get a neck. So we get 5 of them total. So we have 5 here, which is pretty cool. So let's pop his head off and put his neck on the extension. So there's his head up on the thing. Of course, hard to see, so you gotta stretch it up there real far, but that does look really cool. So he does have that neck extension. And then with the other neck extension, we can add it to his weapon of his club. So we get this club as well, all in gold, very similar to his classic weapon. That does also work as a telescope, so you can put it in his hand as a telescope. So you can club or telescope with it. And with the telescope option, you can pull it apart here and then put the extra extensions into there and kind of get a long telescope as well. So we could put all 5 in his neck or in the telescope and have him looking real far. But there it is in the telescope, so you can sort of extend that out as well. So you can have really club, I guess, then as well. So it's just really cool. You get the different options, and you can make his neck really tall, which if putting on display would be cool with all 5 of them, just have him standing really high above all the others. But we'll just go and put the club in his hand like normal. So there Mekaneck has the club, and then he also comes with a shield, which is pretty cool. So we've seen similar designs like this, like He-Man. The New Eternia He-Man had a shield design similar to this, but I love how it's got the little blue creature head on it there and the red background on it. Looks pretty cool. So we have the shield design that does just plug into the arm. And again, that He-Man had the design just like this, just went into the piece on his forearm. So he's got the shield there as well, and it will also plug into his back, so if you don't want it onto his arm. So we've got that, of course, with it being off the camera, it's really hard to see, but there we can have Mekaneck ready to fight now with his club, and then his neck all extended to see far distances. So that is pretty fun looking and cool at the same time. I love having the neck extended up there high. Like I said, I wish you could see it on camera a little bit more, but it's really cool just looking at it in real life. It's a fun design, so very awesome for Mekaneck. And next up we have Trapjaw, which is part human, part robot. So he's a cyborg with mechanical jaw and robotic arm with interchangeable weapons. So of course we've seen Trapjaw many times before. And again, in this design, he pretty much does looks classic just right off the bat. The only thing to me that looks like new or upgraded modern is that he has this additional piece up on his shoulder. Like that could be a thing that I've just not recognized, but that just seems about the only new thing. Everything else about him though looks pretty classic just the way he is with his all blue skin. So again, he's just a human with cybernetic pieces sort of built into him. Of course, his one arm is missing, so he has that whole weapons arm attached there. And as I mentioned, his mouth has the jaw, the mechanical jaw, so he's got there in the pinkish color. I like that design, or I guess it's more purple with the pink helmet that has the little hole piece so he can go down zip line. So shoot a zip line, he attaches onto it and can slide down with his all green face. So that's the thing I like about this, with the blue, the pinks and green just all stands out color wise. So that looks good face wise just overall. And of course you can move the down and see some of his where his mouth is missing there, so that's cool. And of course going down we have his loincloth piece with like a purplish color fur and his green belt around his waist with the skull on it, so that's pretty classic for him. And his blue legs continue down till we get to his legs. So he's got these black boots that always come up really high up his thighs with some green details on them, and then just look kind of robotic or mechanical there as well. So like I said already from the start, it looks pretty classic just the way he is. But movement-wise, we get that little twist all the way around. Can look down that far and up that far, so not bad for the movements. The shoulder, we'll do this side first, does move up and down and back and forth, so get good, nice range in there. And it can rotate around as well. And then we do have like an elbow joint, so it just bends up and it's on a ball, so it can also sort of twist around there. So you get the different options with that. But for his normal arm, it does come up to close to 9. You can't get all the way because of the piece there, but it rotates all the way around. We get, of course, the bicep and the double elbow joint that bends up that far, which isn't bad at all. And the wrist twists around and flexes back and forth. Then we go to his ab crunch, so we can see his ab crunch for once. So you can crunch back and forth and twist around. Again, hard to get separated, but can twist around. And then can twist around the waist as well. Then we go down to the hips up to 90 and out to the side. Get the thigh twist all the way around. The double knee joint that bends up that far to the back, not too bad at all. Seems like probably the best range there. We get a shin twist there at the top of the boot, so just above this section, and then the foot flexes back and forth and twists side to side. So pretty good range on him, not much stiffness or anything, and overall has some of the better range we've seen in figures, so he's pretty good overall. But of course for Trapjaw we do get a number of accessories, mostly just for his arm. So first, of course, classically we get the hook. So we get his 3 classic weapons, I'll say. So we get the hook piece, so we can obviously take each one of these and plug it into his arm. So there he's got the hook, and then as you see it does also have the additional hook on them itself that we can take off and attach onto the belt. So he's got at least 2 sections to hold the additional ones. So we'll just kind of hook this on his belt there. Another cool one is his claws. So he has this claw weapon so it can, reach out and sort of clamp onto things. Of course it attaches on there as well. But what's cool about this is that it has this jaw piece as well that we can take off and put onto his actual jaw. So let's switch this. I assume you just sort of pull it off of the side of where like the ears or whatever would be, and we can switch it out. So there's the jaw switched out, so he has more of a steel jaw, and I love how it has the teeth design as well. Of course it feels it's a little bit too big and doesn't sit as close to the mouth, but that gives it a much more like modern design, which is pretty cool. So that's awesome. You have that jaw function as well, and then I assume you could just attach that piece back onto that. But let's go and just put this accessory hanging on the side of the belt on this other hook. So that's attached on there now. One thing that's new for Trapjaw, at least for me, is that he comes with a sword as well. So we have a sword that we can put in. So there he's got the sword. So none of the figures we've had so far have come with swords. So that's the first time. So that's cool getting that sword option. And then if we don't want it, we can store it onto his back. So he has a little slot up here that we can store the sword on. And finally, we get the blaster as well. So the gun design, of course, that's classically what I always like to give to Trapjaw. So we can put the gun on as well. So he's got 4 accessories this time instead of the normal 3 of the hook, the claw, and the gun. So he's got that sword now thrown in as well. So we get the sword additionally as well as the new jaw piece that we can give to him. I think I like the other purple jaw much better just because it makes it look more classic, but adding that silver jaw looks really cool as well and makes it much more updated. So pretty cool either way you go with it, whether you want the classic jaw or the new one, but I just think he looks pretty cool. And again, as usual, can store all his weapons on his belt and back, so that is pretty cool overall for Trap Jaw. And our final figure today is TriKlops, which wears a rotating visor helmet with 3 different visions of Distavision, Night Vision, and Gamma Vision, each with their own version of an optic blast. So he looks pretty cool. Again, right off the bat, just looks pretty classic here to me. Like, I don't really know anything new or different out of the ordinary for him. Just looks pretty cool. So, of course, we have his 3 eyes on his head. So we get the 3 versions. I don't really know which color. I think I've looked it up in the past, but just completely forgot. So we have red, green, and blue there, and each one does spin around to give you the different eye there. So for each of the different visions is pretty cool there. So I like those different options. And then of course just his normal face with some of the longer hair coming down the back, which is classic. And then he's got his green like shoulder armor and stuff there, which looks cool, just in a metallic with some gold coming down the front to attach there closer to his waist, as well as the belt. And then he has the loincloth design, but looks like leather that's all layered up and scale looking, which is cool. Then bare chest and arm, except for the gold bands on his arms, and bare legs down to the black fur boots as well. So pretty classic design, pretty similar to He-Man overall. But movement wise, we get that that'll twist all the way around. Can look down that far and up that far, so make decent movements. And again, that head can twist around. The shoulders can come up to 90 and rotate all the way around. Get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint that bends up that far. Again, pretty good, pretty much all the way up on itself. With the wrist that'll twist around and flex back and forth. Then we go to the ab crunch, so we have the upper ab crunch again, going to be hard with this chest beat on, but can crunch back and forth and should be able to twist around, but it's hard to get, separated from the waist twist there as well. Then the hips come up to 90, out to the side, thigh twist all the way around. The double knee joint that bends up that far to the back, so not bad at all. With the shin twist down inside the boot, and the foot flexes back and forth and twists side to side. So again, good movements, no issues with him at all. But accessory wise, he comes with some additional hands. So again, fist hands to go along with the grip hands he's got. We do also have an additional visor piece that we can switch out. So I'm not really sure if this is like a newer visor piece design, and I don't really know which way it goes if it sets a certain way, but it's pretty cool. So we have a triangle with the red, orange with a little square design, and then a circle with the green. So you get that option as well. I assume you can just sort of pop this off. Not sure exactly how hard it is. So you can disconnect it there and then kind of see underneath what it looks like. So there's this like little top lip up here. So I believe that always goes straight up top. So you just then can slide this down. So it makes the triangle like shape there look exactly like, pyramid shape. And then obviously that can then twist around his head to give the 3 different eyes. So you get that option as well. Again, just a little bit different there. So that's probably part of the new Eternia design. We also get a sash that goes around him, which is pretty similar to the mini comic version we got. So especially in like the MOTU Origins, we got the mini comic. So we have this sash piece that can go around him. I'm not sure how hard or easy this would be to get on. Probably have to take his head off to get it around there, or he can, nope, just goes slides right over, which is good. So you can put that around him. So he has that sash piece, which again is straight out of the mini comics. So the Origins figure we got had that sash as well, again from the mini comics. And then weapon wise, we do get his classic weapon. So this is like his classic sword, has what I call like the moon shape to it, but it's in green this time, which is cool, of course, with our sword blade. And then we get an additional sword as well. So we get this one in gold. I like how it has the eye design there, of course, with the blade. And it does look like there is a slot here in the back that we can take a sword and sort of slide it down into there like that. So you can store that extra sword there if you want. And let's go and just put his normal classic sword into his hand. And there he has that classic sword now, which looks cool. And obviously we could put both swords into his hands just to make it look even cooler by like having it there on the back, stored in that sash. So that looks really cool overall for TriKlops. Again, not much different. We just get the different head visor and then that sash piece added in as well that can hold the additional sword. So I guess that's really the only part of the new Eternia stuff for him, but I think what we got here looks really cool. And there's our 4 Masterverse New Eternia figures together, where for the good guys, we got ManAtArms and Mekaneck, and for the bad guys, we got Trapjaw and Tri-Klops, and all of these look really cool. Like I said, they pretty much look classic design-wise here, so these look really cool. I love having them in these designs, just pretty much classic, straight out of the cartoon or comic design, so I definitely love having these 4 figures, and I hope they continue to do more. Just pretty much give us characters in their classic designs is all we care for, but in the Masterverse bodies because they're so cool. So I'm super happy with these figures and this wave. Let me know what you thought of them though down in the comments, and if you enjoyed my review, let me know with a like, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to see more of our reviews. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.